Except when you're here, I've got you. So it'll just take us a minute. This section is really, really important because it's about object-oriented programming. And as you can imagine, that's a really big chunk of the MTA exam. Also, you guys are right now working on a project that's going to be really object-oriented, as well as your final. So it's a great opportunity for you to try some of these things. And like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. As we were going through all of the section, it can be so easy to forget things. This morning, I know it's hard. Everybody was wanting to work on their group projects, and I know you guys are the same way. You're finally getting a chance to work on that, but this will just take us a second, and it'll be worth your time. So I'm going to read this first one to you. Get us started. We're in this pink section. You don't need to go find this. If you just connect to the Zoom session, you'll be able to see it. But you're welcome to go find it if you want. It's that study guide under our MTA study material. So in this section, our company that is our scenario company is Tailspin Toys, and they're developing a robotic dog. I can't say it right. The dog will connect to computer via a USB cable, and kids will be able to use a simple application to personalize the toy to their liking. Although the hardware is nearly complete, Tailspin has not yet created the software that owners will use to customize their toy dog. Victor has been hired to begin work on the software. Initially, Victor will need to design a class to represent the dogs. Naturally, the class will be named Dog. The toy, and therefore the dog class, will need to keep track of the dog's name, age, and gender, and it will be able to bark, walk, wag its tail, and sit. And in your MTA exam, they're going to really beat this really a lot, that you have data and methods, or data and actions, or however you want to say it, all of those different things, data and behaviors in a class. Data and behaviors encapsulated into your class. So Victor has written the following C# code. He has his public class statement, and he has a constructor written here that sets up some default values. So it's kind of a default no arg constructor. So number one, which of the following would be a property in the dog class? Would it be bark, name, or dog? Name? Very right. Doesn't sound sure. Well, are you not sure? You're absolutely right. You've got it, because bark is a method. It's a behavior. And dog is the constructor, the name of our class. So name is very good. Property. Now, we've seen our properties in our textbook, and in a lot of things that we saw, said to name those properties with an uppercase letter. But remember, all those kind of rules are totally out the window with the MTA exam, because they try to confuse you by doing things differently. You know, not really to confuse you, but to make sure you really totally understand the principles. Number two, to create a dog with a different name, age, or gender, Victor should add another constructor. Number three, which line of code correctly creates a new dog in C#? A, B, or C? B. And in the MTA exam, they might have that split up onto a couple of separate lines, try to confuse you, but I think that you guys are very clear on that, so they shouldn't be able to make that messy code cause any trouble. As long as you remember, we have data and behaviors in our class. Okay, let's see, who am I going to pick next here? Ooh, let's go. Where do I go? Mahela, pick on us girls.
Tailspin Toys continue to develop robotic dog toy. Early marketing tests revealed that customers would like to choose from different breeds of robotic dogs. As a result, Tailspin has decided to create 3 variations: a poodle, a bulldog, and golden retriever. The company has indicated that they will consider adding additional breeds in the future. The breeds will have a set of common attributes and behaviors, but each breed may have some unique capabilities. This presents some challenges for Victor as he designs the software children will use to customize the dog. He doesn't want to write all of his code 3 times, once for each breed. He also doesn't want future programs to create new breeds that are not compatible with his original design. Since Victor realizes that a poodle is a dog, and the same is true for the other breeds, Victor decides to use inheritance. In Victor's new design, poodle, bulldog, and golden retriever are all A, B, or C.
What do you think? Why? I heard it. They're all derived. Everybody agree? Good.
Allow breeds to reuse code and help to ensure that future breeds are compatible with dogs that could be declared as blank.
That's a weird question.
It is. Do we ever mark thing as derived? So we could throw that one out, right? So which sounds like a better answer to that weird question? Sealed or abstract?
Sealed would mean that you can never derive from that class. Right?
So that wouldn't be a good answer either, would it? So it would have to be abstract. Good thinking. What about number 3?
Following are not going to be here, but yet redirect class.
I think the constructors have to be the same name as the class. I don't think people inherit those.
Perfect. Exactly. Does that make sense that constructors is what they're looking for there? Again, kind of another weirdly worded question. In the hint over here, they say, don't forget base classes are referred to as parent class or superclass. Derived classes are children or subclasses. 75 different terms, of course, for the same thing, but you guys have it. All right, got that one.
Some really interesting questions online.
Okay, Mahala, who do you pick?
Victor's work with Tailspin Toys robotic dogs is progressing well. He knows that the software for personalizing the dogs will be popular with customers. Victor feels that his basic class design ideas are good, and he's ready to think about the details as long as the engineers and marketers stop making changes. Victor knows that while all dogs share common behaviors, such as barking, that bark may be very different from one breed to the next. The bark method he creates for poodle will need to be different from the bark method he creates for golden retriever. In his dog class, he created a few methods. Here are the headers written in C#. To be able to override these methods in the derived classes, what modifier should Victor add to all 3 methods?
Virtual? Everybody agree? Sounds good. What about number 2?
How can Victor invoke bark method in the dog class from within a derived class?
C? C sound good?
Today we just produce it in the derived classes first.
Mm-hmm. All right.
What should Victor do if he wants the bulldog class to just use the walk method for dog?
Copy and paste that code.
I think if we leave it out, it just does base.
So C. What about B? Should we do B or C? Which one would be a better answer? C. And that one's kind of hard because they're really close. But C requires, is more simple, I guess. So we're always looking for the best answer, which would be the simplest answer if we had a choice between something that was simple and something that was complex. So that's kind of hard to remember when you're taking an exam, if there's two things that are kind of just about the same level of right, but C is really what they're looking for here.
Before I really could remember if that would actually be basic.
No, that's exactly right. That's what they want. Just don't do it at all. And then they remind you about the keywords: base, virtual, sealed, new, and override. And I think Alex mentioned it, that sealed, you know, no other class can inherit from this or override it. So yeah, it's pretty frozen. Okay, Ethan, who's next?
Oh, I'll go with Austin.
Guys, just hogging it back there. All righty. Oh, he's up here in the middle today. He's not even back there.
Unfortunately, that means Victor won't be able to finish work writing software himself. Instead, a new developer will take over the project. On the new developer's first day, however, she accidentally sets the robot's age to -237 and crashes the program. To ensure that the new developer doesn't damage code that already works, Victor decides to black box the code that he's already using. This means that the new developer won't need to see Victor's code, but will be able to use it as she continues the project. Victor can also ensure that values are checked before any changes are made, so the dog doesn't end up with a negative age.
I didn't need to mention that it was cheating.
Isn't that awful? Microsoft tries really hard to eliminate gender bias, because a lot of their questions have female names, and a lot of them also have, if you notice, have like non-standard American names, which is really good. They're trying to eliminate bias, and then they come along in this one and make the girl be the terrible crasher of the program. Isn't it? Gender bias, that's gender bias in action, and you are absolutely correct. Okay, so I'm sorry. Anyways, continue. Where did you leave off?
The first question.
Okay, what do you guys think the right answer is? We got open mouth and closed mouth that are just going to be called from within our dog class. Private? Private would be good, because then we could call it from within our dog class, but no place else. What about number 2?
Because he wants it outside of the dog.
Public, okay. And what about number 3? A means for reading and or modifying private attributes. A property. And I can see why you would pick constructor, but property would be the correctest that they're looking for.
Property just means that it has mutators, right?
Right, it's associated with a private attribute. And don't forget that getter and setter can also be called accessor and mutator. And remember, mutate is to change, so that would be our setter. So I can throw those in on you. And we will come back and do a couple more next time. Try to just spend a few minutes on them so they don't drive you crazy. So you guys let me know if you need anything. I'm going to try to grade, of course. So I'll be up here. But rest of our time is lab time.
He's not in the state. He just had an emotional breakdown.
Oh, poor guy. There's still what he can do. It's really just sleep through that time.
Oh God, no. I told him he should read, because I was talking to Kirsten about it. She said he should take his academic quiz and send back to me.
Aw. Yeah. Does he, is he ever, do you know if the city council's here? Does he talk about
I know he's been in the council.
because that sounds to me self-destructive, because that's a really common reaction to that kind of grief. That's not an awe or him thing for you to respond to. That's a, hey, get yourself some help now because you are trying to hurt yourself worse kind of thing, because you know what I mean? That's like self-destructive, because those things are put in place for a reason so that we don't have to go further down. Poor guy.
So on the project, the explanation, it says that we have to call a web server to get the cost, but the UML shows that those functions are inside of the object themselves. So is that function calling the thing from the server, or I'm kind of confused on what it's asking us to do?
Right, like that day when we made that web server.
Because I know we're storing the invoices on the server so that we can pull up the old ones and such, but
Eventually, because according to your requirements, you're supposed to store the whole day's worth serialized so that a later project can come back and retrieve them. So you don't have to be the one that retrieves them. Does that make sense? That you're just going to let people enter new packages, and then when they try to exit for the day, or when they say save today, you're going to write all of these in a serialized way, but you won't worry about opening them.
I'm just kind of confused as to what we're using the servers for.
In your
I don't know what it is, but UML diagrams and this like project explanation is just
well, just like that server
outside.
code that we created that day, right? Were you here when we did that one? When we did the,
I don't remember. It's been a week, and I'm just wanting school to end already.
it's not though, so you have to stay with us for a few more days.
I'm trying my hardest.
Come on, you can do it. What am I looking at? I keep looking at the wrong thing. I found it finally.
It's also on the wrong page, and I'm not getting the mouse backwards.
So right here,
Yeah, it's showing
this right here is going to be your service.
service.
Like your web server service. So this is sitting here running on some web server, this iPayable.
I thought that was an interface.
Well, like when we create it, you have to have an interface for your web service that says this is what the service name is. So if you look at that example one, you'll see it's like 7 lines of code, but you're going to create that kind of thing.
So that's
And the
on
only method you're going to have is calculate cost. And so then over here, when you have to run calculate cost, you're going to be calling the calculate cost on the server. If you have to over here running calculate cost, you'll
Okay,
be
so
calling.
calculate cost doesn't do anything but ask the server how much it's cost, and then we're going to store the code that calculates the cost.
Right, on the server. And all you're going to do is make it hard coded. Like if it's UPS, start at
Right.
$2.
That way,
or
whoever
whatever.
is in charge of the server can adjust it for everyone else.
Right. And just so you know, you get something back from the
Okay, so I
server.
think we had I think we had the iPayable in the package.
That's okay. So you can just move it
Yeah.
if you need to, but that's the part that should be your web server. Just the part that's calculating that cost out.
My question. No, my question